In the past, we didn't have any threats in South America. Today, we've already seen that we have a threat in South America.
The Brazilian army has been showing widespread concern about the possibility of breaking military diplomacy with the United States Armed Forces after Brazilian factions were defined as narco-terrorists. This concern grew stronger after the Army commander, General Tomas Paiva, traveled to the United States to meet with General Christopher Lanieve, Chief of Staff of the United States Army. The bilateral meeting between the military aims to strengthen strategic ties between the armed forces, since the decisions of the current Brazilian president to condemn the actions of Donald Trump's government have eroded the historic friendship between Brazil and the United States in the military field. Recently, the Brazilian army had to halt operations against organized crime at the border due to budget cuts.
Because we keep having this discussion saying, no, but we're fighting, Brazil is fighting, we're fighting the way we can with intelligence and everything else. Yesterday, although the news had been circulating for days, when Colonel mentioned it, there was a freeze of 4.3 billion reais in this year's defense budget. Because of this, believe it or not, the Brazilian army decided to stop operations and border combat for monitoring right due to budget cuts. The meeting was to strengthen strategic ties between the American armed forces, with the Brazilian army demonstrating.
This budget reduction has been significantly compromising the operational capacity of the land forces, just as it happened with the Navy and the Air Force. The lack of resources has weakened the military presence in sensitive areas and made the country more vulnerable to the advance of criminal factions. This situation makes the possibility of losing technological and strategic support from the United States even more concerning, making Brazil even more susceptible to the rise in crime. Welcome to Vida no Quartel. A break with the United States Armed Forces could represent a major technological and combat setback for Brazil. Most of the systems and weaponry used by the three Brazilian forces come from the United States, which means the dependency is high. Without access to updates, maintenance, and new equipment, Brazil could see its defense capabilities simply stagnate, right at a time when the whole world is increasing military spending in the face of the possibility of new global conflicts. The friendship between the Brazilian Army and the United States Army is long-standing and marked by numerous joint operations. Over the decades, bilateral training exercises have been carried out that strengthen the interoperability between the two forces.
The second battle will move the building closer.
This historic partnership has consolidated mutual trust and ensured Brazil access to techniques and technologies that would hardly be obtained independently. A symbolic example of this cooperation is the annual participation of American troops in survival training at the Jungle Warfare Training Center in Manaus. For decades, soldiers from the United States have come to Brazil to learn combat and survival techniques in hostile environments, reinforcing the exchange of knowledge. Similarly, every year, the Brazilian Army sends numerous soldiers for training with the United States troops. This tradition shows that the relationship between the two armies goes beyond politics and is based on strategic and professional values. The policies adopted by the current president of Brazil regarding the United States may compromise national military capabilities for years. The international scenario points to an arms race and Brazil cannot afford to lose access to modern defense systems. The lack of alignment with the United States could isolate the country and reduce its strategic relevance on the continent. Meanwhile, forces that could be working alongside the police to mitigate the reach of organized crime remain confined to their barracks. Systems, equipment, and military expertise are not being used for the benefit of the population, even in the face of the growing threat from internal factions like the PCC and the Red Command. This inactivity reinforces the perception that Brazil is not fully utilizing its military capabilities to face its greatest internal challenges. The Brazilian armed forces have the capability to recover any territory in the country if necessary. Its special forces are highly trained and have experience in complex operations.
In 4 major special operations missions: reconnaissance, commando operations, recovery and rescue, and counterterrorism.
Regularly, the commandos, the Coman-Fs, and the Parasar conduct joint training with special police units, such as BOP, CORE, the PRF's GRR, and the Federal Police's KOT. This integration shows that, if mobilized, the armed forces could contribute decisively to the fight against organized crime. But, with the refusal of the Brazilian leader, who in fact continues in a tireless attempt to make Donald Trump's government backtrack and remove the classification of Brazilian factions as narco-terrorists, it shows that currently Brazil follows a confrontation policy that is opposed to the shield of the Americas.
You're scared, don't be. I'm just somebody you want a taste. Why not the whole thing? It's not that far of a fall. Don't look down now, you're gonna live. Trust me, babe.
Good morning, battalion. Yeah, this operation is the biggest police operation in history. If in 2010 Alemão and Penha were the heart of evil in Rio de Janeiro, today they are the heart of evil in Brazil. And us both. We are ready. Today is another stage of Operation Containment, which is the operation that aims to stop the advance of the Red Command. And today we're going to their headquarters, Complexo do Alemão and Complexo da Penha. Here, the goal is to prevent the thug from Vila Cruzeiro, where the civil police have 180 arrest warrants and are looking to serve them, from crossing over to Alemão. We believe that by taking control of that operation, the hillside next to Serra da Misericordia, which is our job, taking over that entire road alongside, between Vila Cruzeiro and Alemão, non-lethal measures and firepower will be essential.
Cooperation between the military and the police could result in more effective operations, since Brazilian criminals are arming themselves more and more, even using drones to monitor and attack enemies and the police themselves. Today, almost the whole faction from across Brazil is present. As time goes by, 3, 2, 1. The use of intelligence, logistics, and firepower by the armed forces, combined with the police's experience in urban operations, would create an integrated combat model, as we have already seen in Paraguay and Ecuador. This synergy could crush criminal networks and return control of areas dominated by factions to the state. 2-1. The lingering question is whether the armed forces will allow this break with the United States because of political ideologies, or if they will maintain their doctrine as state institutions, which aims to protect Brazil ad eternum, regardless of who is in power. That is not the role of the armed forces.
And as long as I am president,
There will be no law and order operation. The choice between following political logic or preserving strategic tradition will be decisive for the future of national defense and for the country's ability to face both external and internal threats. Decisive. Leave your thoughts in the comments about this concern of the Army and whether you believe the use of the armed forces would help in the fight against organized crime. Here at Vida No Quartel, you stay up to date with everything happening in the military world. Leave your like, subscribe, and watch one of the videos that's appearing on your screen. Forward fighters, see you next time.